give me too much credit. I am not worthy enough.
My rage burns brighter than 1,000 suns, and soon all will see my wrath unleashed.
I don't know what happened last month. Sorry guys, we're going right back to wholesome RTS atrocities starting today. No gas allowed. We'll skip most of the no-build missions because no gas. Game speed fastest, let's go! Skipping all no-build missions, so Securus time. I got some free DTs for defense, then build a nice outpost south of the bridge. Wait, if the warp gate is over here, why do we start here? Anywho, I've been told I should elaborate on my strategy, so after securing more expansions, I pushed the main enemy base with zealots and cannons, ending the mission. Thought there'd be more to it than that. Look, I'm not a pro, I don't have build orders. You make stuff and throw it at the problem. Mission 3 isn't doable. There's no way for me to cross this river without gas. Or is there? Mission 4 is super difficult. Just cloak Kerrigan, get lucky sneaking around these tanks, heal up, and win. Man, there's a lot of no-build missions to skip. Anywho, Mission 6 is the first real challenge in this run. Sure, I do get some Zerg for backup, but fighting lurkers and guardians with zealots and cannons is a daunting task. Thankfully, the expert tactic of running away from my problems makes the lurkers unburrow, letting me cut them to pieces. While I try to cannon rush on the high ground, Guardian AI can be very unpredictable, so I'm unable to replicate Professor Grant's deathless strategy. Instead, I slow push with zealots and cannons, then bring in my free DTs and dragoons to finish off the overmind, ending the mission. Mission 7 is super difficult. You just mind control these shuttles and... Okay, never mind, I'll do it normally. Mind control normally costs gas to research, but the game throws me a bone and has it researched from the start. Now I only have a few Dark Archons and a couple DTs to make more. The AI doesn't prioritize support units, so they're usually left alone. This lets me steal stronger units like Reavers to push through the northeast. Scarabs don't cost gas, so I give them a pass. Eventually, I carve a path to the real Aldaris, allowing Bob the Zealot to cut him down. Countdown's technically the only holdout mission in Brood War. Well, half a holdout mission. I need to get to the temple first. To secure my bases, I take out the Red Zerg with a mix of zealots, cannons, my free dragoons, and observers. Afterwards, I secure the temple grounds and build 1,000,000 photon cannons. I have to hold for 15 minutes as waves of Zerg pour onto my bases. Without minerals, my old bases only serve as distractions, but as long as the temple lives, the mission is far from lost. Initially, I use my free dragoons to fend off enemy guardians. However, they too are overwhelmed. The Zerg tear through my cannons, so I make more cannons. The AI flies its guardians across my base, searching for more targets, leaving them open to newly warped defenses. My lines bend but don't break. The temple activates and cleanses the planet, ending the mission.
Oh crap. This landed site doesn't have any gas.
That's the point, Sergeant.
I need to destroy the enemy command center. To aid me, I get a free factory for vultures. With marines and bikes, I meet up with Duran, who tries to sabotage me with a useless Vespene geyser. Geysers give gas, so I deem them trash. After smashing my head on the Dominion base for a while, I drain their comsat of scans and get Duran into a weird god spot where the turrets apparently can't see him. By sacrificing my army to keep Duran alive, I destroy the command center, ending the mission. Taking out 4 hives is no easy feat. Thankfully, the mission has the decency to grant me free medics to heal and Duran for more damage. Unlike Starcraft 2, medics don't get priority, so the AI largely leaves them alone. This helps minimize casualties, sort of, as I take on each of the hives. The first hive is only protected by basic Ling Hydra, so storming it is easy. The orange hive is all Guardian and Spore colonies, so it's also a pushover. Unfortunately, Red's hive uses Ultra Defiler, though they don't plague for some reason. Dark Swarm is annoying, but the expert tactic of running away deals with it easily. Casualties are high, but these old Ultras, so the boys crop them good. Purple's hive is the most complicated. They're on a cliff, so I create a perimeter near the exposed eastern section and land barracks and a command center. In the meantime, I float buildings to spot the high ground as I launch a diversion from the south. After getting more bunkers in place, I run away to lure the remaining defenders to the slaughter. With the way clear, the last hive falls and the mission ends. Korhal time. I can either destroy Mengsk's nukes or his fusion labs. Neither nukes nor battle cruisers are environmentally friendly, so I'll play both versions of Mission 5. My initial plan involves rushing south to destroy Blue's nuke silos, but their tanks are bunched up, they've got a ton of ghosts, and there's too many choke points, so that peters out. Instead, I head north and play the long game, seizing bases and luring Red's forces into bunkers. Eventually, I seize the northern base and begin the long march to the fusion labs. Unlike the nuke silos, the labs have a much thicker base, and their tanks are spread out, letting me overwhelm them in a grand assault. Blue takes one of my outposts, but I finish off the labs, ending the mission.
SCP good to go, sir.
Nuclear launch detected. Base is under attack.
As daunting as nukes are, it's surprisingly easy to counter ghosts. Just build a million missile turrets and have guards everywhere. The AI generally walks ghosts into range of my detectors. Since ghosts can't move while launching nukes, they're pretty much sitting ducks. There's plenty of expansions to seize, so after securing most of them, I pincer the southeast post, allowing me to focus on Blue's base. Siege tanks are tough, but running at your problems is apparently quite effective. A second pincer attack finally finishes off Blue's defenses, but at this point they've mined out, and so have I. Taking on Red proves fruitless. He still has a ton of cloaked units, and slow pushing with turrets is nigh impossible with all the siege tanks. After an hour of funneling Marines and Vultures into a meat grinder, I switch my focus to his main CC. Technically, it's the only target I need to destroy, and the mission saw fit to give me 2 free dropships at the start. While they aren't enough to cheese the mission at the start, the troops they can drop do a decent amount of damage to Mengsk's space. To add to the confusion, I launch another frontal attack while sending a diversionary force to the other end of the map. It doesn't work out. The good news is that Mengsk's workers are apparently on strike, as they seemingly refuse to repair his HQ. This allows me to charge in my reserves, bringing the command center to Red and setting it on fire. To be safe, I prepare another wave of Marines and Vultures for another brilliant assault on his fortress, but the CC burns down and the mission ends. Upon post-mission analysis in the editor, apparently there's a large number of burrowed Zerglings around my base in Ground Zero. Probably there to keep me from cheesing it, you know, so good on Blizzard for thinking ahead on that one. Alright, battle cruisers are tough, but I'm sure with a couple Marines and turrets we can deal with them easy. After losing a million turrets, I get to the center of the map and proceed to get crushed. Not only do the BCs keep coming, but Mengsk has a million siege tanks to mow down my forces. Despite my best efforts, after an hour of pain, I can't progress any further. I think a big factor as to why this mission is so much harder than Ground Zero is because ghosts are surprisingly easy to kill, and the nukes, while annoying, generally targeted cheap stuff like turrets and bunkers. Battlecruisers, on the other hand, are tough and can spam Yamato to one-shot anything I have. With BCs tearing through my defenses every time they appear, I simply can't progress fast enough before the AI upgrades and completely destroys me. Thankfully, there exists a gas-free option to win this mission. Emperor's Flight is super difficult. Fly everything to the top right, drop the free siege tanks near the command center, and blow it all up. Mission 7 is technically a no-build mission, but you do get gas for repairing these Goliaths, so just, don't repair. Mission 8 is a cruel joke. I need to fight through 3 broods to get to the Overmind and stick him with Stimpvax. Have I mentioned how weird that plot point is? Like, Ancient Hive Mind is apparently weak to drugs. Anywho, each brood has special defenses in place to make my life miserable. Red has invincible sunken colonies, while Brown has a jacked up Ultralisk that respawns every few minutes. Attrition-wise, I'm gonna lose. Initially, I built an outpost on the high ground near Red to maybe rush in a force of Marines and the Torosk spawned. I have around 10 minutes before I get steamrolled, so I go after Brown first. There's only a thin line of Sunkens blocking me from Brown, so I get an outpost between the 2 Cerebrids, allowing me to slow push, and I took too long. Have I mentioned the Tauros can tear through bunkers really quickly? And to top it all off, all of these efforts are completely pointless. You wanna know why? Because even if I somehow manage to beat Red and Brown, I still need to spend gas to win. I need 4 medics to drug the Overmind, and the mission only gifts me 2. As the game editor shows, there's no double dipping. They will despawn after reaching each beacon. So I give up. Magic word time, this mission is not doable without gas. Moving on. Reign of Fire is super challenging. After taking a page from Dr. Grant's quest for 0 deaths, I forget to make a base. The AI doesn't actually turn on until I get a hatchery up, so I grab all the free Zerg around the map. This includes the pesky Torosk, which lets me clear a path to the side disruptor, ending the mission.
With all due respect to Miss Kerrigan, sir, these critters make me nervous as hell.
Mission 3 is super difficult. You gotta get 10,000 minerals and no gas. Very environmental. I start with a ton of free Ultras and Phoenix, letting me clear a path to the 2 expansions. To deal with pesky siege tanks, I hug them with Phoenix, causing them to explode. Afterwards, I just wait. Turns out there's enough resources to beat the mission at these 2 bases. There's no point pursuing the infested command center objective because infested Terrans cost gas. Liberation of Korhal is the start of a 3-mission stretch with nothing but long, grueling sieges with high casualties for small gains. Protorabo would be proud. Well, as proud as he can be for a bunch of dirty Xenos. With 10k minerals at the start, I fortify my position and rush ahead to secure new bases. I'll need them for the fight ahead. Once significant resistance is met, I create my siege line of Sunkens and Spores with lings to create openings. Whenever enemy reinforcements arrive, I lure them back into my defenses, bleeding the UED dry. The AI loves spending long periods not attacking, only to send massive death waves against my forces. Thankfully, defense in depth whittles down their attacks over time. Orange's main hive is a roadblock, with Guardians and Ultras to ruin my fun. Fortunately, Ultras are no match for Tentacles, and Guardians are no match for their own stupidity. There's a brief scare where White launches a massive death wave against me, pushing me all the way back to my starting point, but it peters out all the same. Orange's base is my last lifeline mineral-wise. I need to storm the final fortress with the minerals on hand. After using Overlords and Sunkens to destroy the high ground tank, I expand into White's base, taking out their air support and picking off the last of their tanks. With the way clear, my remaining forces wipe out the garrison and the mission ends.
Don't be snide, Kerrigan. I've earned this.
True Colors is super easy, I promise you. You just destroy Duke's first 2 bases during the sneak attack, then turtle up. For whatever reason, his ghosts don't really cloak, so stopping nukes is pretty easy. Like lurkers, siege tanks function like cats. You use laser pointer lings to lure them into traps. While I fear the Reaver, Phoenix apparently forgot to build more, so I do the usual feed 'em lings, surround them with everything tactic. Afterwards, it's a simple matter of creeping forward with Sunkens and Spores while letting my lings destroy the Protoss base. It's honestly terrifying. Imagine being a carrier commander, unable to move because you're not programmed to, raiding the best of the Protoss war machine down on the swarm, and accomplishing nothing because the lings keep on coming. No matter what you do, no matter how many you kill, you're powerless to save your comrades on the ground from being devoured. And you're far from safe, as spores fill the sky with their taint. In desperation, you flee to the corner of the map, where there's nowhere to go but the sweet embrace of death. Anywho, I leave Phoenix in timeout and spend the next few hours sieging Duke's base. Unfortunately, he has about a dozen tanks and wraiths, so I focus on ripping apart his structures with repeated raids. Eventually, I surround it with static defense and use Overlords to spot the tanks on the walls. Breaking Duke's position is difficult, as his SCVs keep rebuilding, and he has a good choke point with tanks, a bunker, and science vessels. After picking off the vessels and destroying the missile turrets, I bring my starting lurkers to skewer his remaining defenders with impunity. Both Duke and Phoenix fall to a mix of Spores and Sunkens, bringing the mission to a close. An expert victory, a true triumph. And completely pointless because there's a stupid turret on some random island that none of my units can reach without gas. I hate my life. Fury of the Swarm is super easy, 100% guaranteed. After referring to the sacred texts, I slow the game speed down and block the northern bridge with lings by move commanding them onto each other. This display of friendship halts my foes in their tracks, causing them to disappear from reality. The remaining lurkers are devoured, allowing me to build a solid defense line with several bases. Now my main is on an island, so its only use is extra income. Using my outposts as a springboard, I spread my creep to Orange's base. It's teeming with Guardians, Lurkers, Ultras, and Mutas. To counter them, I create another siege line of Sunkens and Spores, luring the larger Zerg into the meat grinder while slowly destroying Orange's hive. After an hour of blood, I take the base. My main objective is to kill 30 UED scientists controlling the enemy Zerg. Now the UED base is usually super weak, so this should be pretty easy. To break through, I lure the defenders into Sunkens and sacrifice dozens of minions to break open the entrance. Then, I sneak a hatchery in and continue my sunken spam, slowly but surely overwhelming the defenses. When did I make these Scourge? After reloading, I purge my spire and hunt down the remaining scientists. The hardest part is actually chasing them down because they keep running away, but with no resources left, I finish them off, ending the mission. On paper, drawing the weeb is super easy. Just walk Duran across the map. There's a bunch of ninjas trying to kill you, but we don't need to talk about that. I don't get air units, but what else is new? I start by rushing the first 2 pylon clusters with Lings and Overlords to distract and clear cannons, letting Duran waltz in and out. The 3rd cluster is super annoying as it has 4 Reavers guarding it. Duran can only use lockdown twice before needing to consume, so I need several waves of Lings to fully destroy the remaining defenders. Eventually, I sneak Duran to the beacon and run away. With half the map secure, I'm free to head west. Normally, the southwest base is super dangerous. Dark Archons can stun and mind control my units. Of course, my only units are Lings and Overlords, so the most they accomplish is blocking my supply. The bigger threat is DTs. Turns out space ninjas are good at cutting up alien dogs. However, with the expert tactic of making more Lings, I secured the base and smashed through its remaining pylon clusters. The Protoss blow up and the mission ends. Zerg Mission 8 is perhaps the hardest mission in Brood War. 8 different armies to fight, a limited Protoss ally you have to protect, and a river going through the middle of the map. Now I could play until I secure my half of things, but after hours of grueling sieges, I think I'll save myself the trouble and just end the mission right here.
But Pi, Grant used a Nidus Canal to get across the map in Zerglings only. Nidus Canals only cost minerals.
To get a Nidus Canal, you need a hive. We start with a lair. To get a hive, you need a queen's nest. We start without one. And I can't make either structure without gas. Hence, you cannot beat this mission with minerals only. Moving on. The Reckoning should be fairly easy. I just gotta beat up the Protoss in 30 minutes or it's free. Nope. To start, I rushed the UED base for more minerals, then sieged Zeratul base. Unfortunately, having a time limit really sucks, so after banging my head on the Protoss for several hours, I switch up my approach. Instead of wasting time on some silly humans, I focus solely on the Protoss, pushing with Sunkens and Spores, feeding Reavers, Lings, and overwhelming the Dark Templar with a grinding death wave. A magnificent strategy. A brilliant victory. Whoops, I don't have enough time to destroy these pylons. After reloading, I send my final free Guardian to the west of the Central Plateau, slowly sieging the defenses around Rashakal's cell as I push in from the east, devouring Zeratul's forces and ending the mission. This is it. Considering how painful the previous missions have been, the odds are stacked against me. Whereas the previous fights have usually been against 1 or 2 opponents, I need to take out 3 massive armies with no upgrades and limited tech. However, with abundant resources and a little effort, I believe the same old strategy of grinding the enemy down should work perfectly. Nope. I target Korhal first, since his focus on air means his ground defenses will probably be weaker than Mengsk and Artanis. Turns out battlecruisers are really good against Zerglings. While I spam Spores to compensate, I get bogged down trying to push through his first outpost. So I switch to Artanis. Reavers are painful, but less so than siege tanks. By hitting the Protoss from several angles, I keep their forces divided and eventually grind away at their posts. Carriers are painful, but less so than battlecruisers. By pincering his base, I slowly devour the Firstborn, just as my bases run out of minerals. This gives me a lifeline to go after Korhal again. Nope. Turns out taking over an hour to beat one army means the others have fully upgraded. Korhal's forces easily mow through my defenses, and my efforts to push north peter out rather quickly. I don't even bother with Mengsk because, oh dear lord, he packing! With my enemies too strong and my resources running out, I consult the big man himself for answers. Yes! Rushing past the enemy. That's how I'll win. Nope. Thankfully, there exists a method to win this mission gas-free.
Congratulations, Kerrigan. You've beaten me again.
You obviously can't beat Brood War gasless. So how many missions can be done with minerals only, and without cheats? For Episode 4, 7 out of 8 missions can be done without gas. Legacy of the Void forces me to make air units to reach the Cerebrits. For Episode 5, I beat 7 out of 9 missions without gas. Birds of War was too difficult, and to chain the beast forces me to make medics to capture the Overmind. For Episode 6, I beat 8 out of 11 missions without gas. True Colors has that missile turret on an island. To slay the beast as a river of lava that I need gas to cross, and Omega is too hard. In total, 22 out of 28 missions can be done gasless, 78%. This means a grand total of 47 out of 58 missions in StarCraft 1 can be beaten without gas, 81%. I hate to say it, but sometimes you gotta admit when you're beat. Brood War is a different beast from StarCraft 1. Better AI, more unique objectives, and I gotta respect that. A better player could probably beat Birds of War and Omega Gasless, but I'm burnt out. Good luck to you. So where to from here? Well, time for another poll. I do want to get into new games, but some people did suggest no wood Warcraft 3, which sounds slightly more doable than this challenge. I've also been messing around with YouTube Shorts, so I'll probably make some StarCraft stuff to fill the void. Shoutouts to Gladys Marino, Happy Acrid, Jen Tuong, Michael Phillips, and Mike Pierce for still supporting the channel. If you somehow enjoyed this, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and sacrifice thousands of minions to save the environment.